glad we didn't get anything else. So.
Well, that was the big thing. First is life. Second big thing is keep it in its box.
Yeah.
And the wind, if the wind were like it was in Tehachapi, we'd have been in trouble.
Yeah. Or down in.
Or in Ventura.
In Ventura. Yeah.
What does occupancy mean? What's that?
Business.
Business? Strictly business?
Yeah, and a B1 is a little bit. They do more stuff that might be dangerous. And a B2 is your barber shops.
But B, straight B rating should be nothing more than nobody living there, correct?
Nope.
30 seconds. 5 seconds.
Chuck's already acting a part.
Good evening and welcome to the City of California City Council meeting this Tuesday, November 13th, 2018. At this time, please all rise and for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Bow your heads, please. Our Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the opportunity to gather here tonight in your name, Lord. We just pray that your will be done when it comes to all the agenda this evening, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, could you roll call us in?
Councilmember McGuire.
Here.
Paris.
Here.
Stump.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gomez.
Here.
Mayor Wood.
Here. Looking for a motion to adopt the agenda, but before we do, on presentations tonight has been postponed to another night. It'll be rescheduled. Other than that change to the agenda, I'd like a motion to adopt the agenda.
Make that motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. So we'll move right into staff announcements and reports. Chief Hurtado, department update, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. For this year, your police department responded to over 18,300 calls. Since we last met, we responded to 1,157 calls for service. We've had 12 felony reports. Out of those 12, we arrested 9 out of there. We've had 35 misdemeanor reports. Out of those 35, we've closed 27 of them with arrests. Over the last couple of weeks, some noted calls. The last 24 hours, we've had 2 vehicle thefts. One resulted in a short chase on the east end of town. A person left their car running, went inside the house, and a crime of opportunity occurred. Somebody stole the car, and the car ended up crashing behind the trailer park on the east end of town. Vehicle was recovered, but sustained major damage, and the suspect in that is still outstanding. Another car was stolen early this morning. I believe we have a photo that we'll be sending out via Nixle to try to identify the suspect on that one. We've handled 6 burglaries that are still under investigation. Also, since we last met, we had Halloween. We had no major incidents reported. That morning we did do a sweep in town. I believe we made 6 arrests. We ended up going to a house that we're trying to find a warrant suspect. We ended up finding a grow operation out of the home, and we made 2 arrests from there. Our partners with the Highway Patrol are continuing to assist us, being that second officer on the shift when we're needed. Reminded this week that they're also gearing up for the holiday season like everyone else, every other agency. So their assistance will slowly be kind of feathered off through the holidays. We understand and we thank them for the assistance they've offered, and they'll keep assisting us as needed through the holidays, but we'll see that lineup changing a little bit. One of our busiest times of the year is Thanksgiving. Just remind people, please be aware of your neighborhood watch groups. A lot of people will be traveling the next 7 to 10 days. If you're part of Neighborhood Watch, let your Neighborhood Watch captains know so they can help be aware of if you're going to be gone. And please, if you see something suspicious, please call us. Next month, we are gearing up for our Shop with the Cop, where we're going to have, each year we provide gifts and clothing for underprivileged children in town. Last year we had a couple local businesses step up and help fill the gap where we needed. And we'll be giving more information out to the different businesses on opportunities to help this year's Shop with the Cop. Our backgrounds are going very well. We're hoping to have 3 officer applicants processed, I would say, within the next 7 to 10 days. They're finishing up some background meetings with investigators at the end of this week, along with our dispatch. And I'm looking for Mary. Was it an animal control officer? Jailer. Maybe the jailer. Okay.
ACO, Chief?
I want to say, yeah, there's one in background.
Okay.
Was yesterday. Yesterday, we responded to assist the fire department on a house fire on Campfire Drive. We're there to assist in any way we can, but I want to let you know that the work that Captain Roach, Engineer Marks, and his crew, they saved both houses on both sides. So kudos to the fire department and that shift that worked yesterday. They did a wonderful job. They stopped the progress of the fire from spreading to the nearby homes. I was there for the last fire that ended up taking 2 or 3 homes next to it. These firefighters pulled out their gear and stood between the other neighbors' houses and the house that was fully engulfed, and they did a wonderful job. So with that, I'll pass this on to the fire chief.
Thank you very much, Chief, and thank you very much, Chief Goodell, also for your folks' hard work, always.
Good evening, staff, mayor, council people, constituents. After Eric just stole my thunder, I really have nothing to say.
Well, good. Maybe you can answer a question he could answer. You have
I was just
investigators
kidding
in
about
background, too?
Pardon?
Does you have an investigator in background also? No, you. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. You took his thunder,
I
so I'm
see.
having him
Okay.
ask your
Well,
question.
let me slide over here.
No.
No, but kind of back at the police chief. I mean, he did a real good job. In fact, he gave me a little bit of intel on my way in. I was able to stay off Sand Canyon and actually make it to this one. Anyways, to the mundane, which is not really that mundane. Code enforcement, 24 new cases. Closed cases, 3. Citations issued, 8. Complaint forms received, 9. For the fire department, to include that one that I think I was on the other 2 also. Didn't do much, but I was certainly there, part of the team. 3 fires, 61 EMS/rescue calls, 3 service calls, 17 good intents, 5 false calls, total 91 year to date, 2410. And a couple things. We had a real successful weekend before last with these guys also. The Get Alarmed, we cooperated with the Red Cross, and 150 plus smoke alarms in 57 homes better protected. I mean, if there's anything I'm passionate about, it would be that. I mean, smoke alarms are much in the vein of Chief Hurtado about the captains and neighborhood watch. Smoke alarms are such inexpensive, such efficient ways of getting out of your house safely. I mean, almost always, and we're sorry about the property part, but man, if you and the fam get out, you know, in one piece, that's a victory. So we're working on the shed. We're in-house rebuilding the shed, putting a new roof on it, a lot of new stuff, a lot of hard work. Took the American LaFrance engine down today to Hesperia to get its radio installed, and also some mechanical work. Should be back in a couple weeks. 5 seasonal firefighters we're going to bring on, Lord willing, and the creek doesn't rise. And we're interviewing 4 persons on the 28th for the EMP position. So more to follow on that. And I should have already passed these out before, but I'll just make real quick work of it as I slide this over to Craig.
Thank you very much, Chief.
I just,
Pictures of the smoke alarm stuff.
I saw Red Cross vehicles actually driving around town also.
It was a winning combo.
Yeah,
It was a great.
that was great.
I just had one question I
Sure.
wanted to ask him real fast.
Go ahead.
Hey, Chief, what was the status on the cleanup, the warrant for the one trailer and the other cleanups?
We went with the person that had the C-21.
Yeah.
We got an extension on the
On the warrant?
on the warrant, and he needed to come in and sign some papers last week. I'm not sure where it's progressed to this point,
Okay.
but I mean we are on top of it.
Yes.
So-
Because when I saw the header yesterday, I'm going, here we go. So that's what I was.
Oh yeah, I could talk a lot about stuff like that, but I'll just stay with what I just
Said.
related to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Mayor, Council, and the Water Department was really happy to actually provide water for the fire guys.
It's true. They should build them all.
And they didn't blow up any hydrants, so we left happy.
No, in all seriousness, thanks so much. And sorry for no, I'm serious. Thank you very much. Very much.
Street Department, for the month of October, they closed out 58 work orders, working the SDI tracks. In Second Community, 527 potholes, which was 25 work orders, and have started paving 79th Street, so a total of 720 square feet of patch was done over there. Mainline repairs for the Water Department, 12 repairs made over the month, and only one of those was a failure. 28 services been replaced and 120 meters. We're continuing on the North Loop replacement, and on the section to tie in 95th to the 12-inch that was replaced all the way from Mansburg, Mojave in 2000, roughly 6 or 7. We have 3 open work orders and 2 for leaks for mainline repairs, and that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys' work as well. Moving on to Mr. Diego Ibanez. And just grab a mic and talk into it because they record this. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, public. This is my 7th day as Finance Director, and I'm very excited to be here. I've been looking over the department, I've been looking at some of the processes, excited to get started on it. And at this point, I am just kind of immersing myself in the department. Don't really have an update, but we'll have something next time.
Well, thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you.
Parks Manager Brenda Davern.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and members of the public. I have a lot going on at the Park and Rec Department right now, so bear with me for a minute. I wanted to announce our parade is going to be for our Christmas parade is on December 1st. That's a Saturday at 4 p.m. It's going to start here at City Hall, where we're going to quickly light the tree, and then the parade will travel from City Hall down to the Strata Sports Center. And actually, it's going to conclude in front of the Arts Center, and that's where the judging will be done, and the awards will be given shortly thereafter. We also have Holiday Village in its final planning stages. All of our vendor spots inside are full at this time. We do have a waiting list in case anybody is unable to fill their spot for some reason. Our last planning meeting will be this Thursday, the 15th at 6 p.m. in the Arts and Community Center. All are welcome. And our Holiday Village dates this year are November 30th from 4 to 8 p.m. December 1st, we're going to start at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and run till 8 p.m. And then on December 2nd, we're also running from 1 o'clock until 5 p.m. It's a lot of fun. It's a great place to shop locally. A lot of our crafty crew of people have been busy all year long, making unique finds for the holidays. We also have kids' crafts and entertainment in the Arts Building. We're still looking for some entertainers that would like to come out and entertain the crowd. We have half-hour spots available. And we are still accepting parade applications, too. If any business or anybody would like to be in the parade, it is $20 to join the parade. Nonprofits are free. Youth basketball registration is still underway. We have about another week or so of registering the kids for our youth basketball league, and they are also taking part in a free skills assessment clinic on Wednesdays, and that is for ages 7 through 14. And I have a couple more. Today was our kickoff to our toy program. Registration opened today and runs till 12:10. This is to register a child of need at the holiday season. The child must belong to the parent that's registering them. You can't register, all the kiddos in your block. Or kids you babysit. Has to be, child you have custody of. And all the toys and the kids have to be in and from California city limits. You could call the Strata for registration at 760-373-3530. The age of this program is for walking up to 12 years old. We will put teenagers 15 and under on the list, and we will try our best to accommodate that age group if we have donations. We are accepting both toy donations and cash donations. Often we use the cash donations to go out and buy things for the teenagers because most things that get donated happen to be fire trucks and fun things like that for little kids and dollies. Our boxes are out this year, and we've already filled up one box from Rite Aid over the weekend. They have toys, I think, half off right now or something. So we are collecting at Rite Aid, Alta One, Ace Hardware, Tierra del Sol, here at City Hall, and at the Strata. And if you're going to donate a check, please put attention Brenda Toy Program on the memos. And also, I wanted to lastly thank everybody who came out for our Trunk or Treat event on Halloween night. It was fun. We had a great time. We enjoyed Chuck's classic car there this year. It was very nice for you to come out and see all the kids. Every year I buy more candy, and every year more kids come. We ran out probably 10 minutes at least early, right around there. So it's a very quick hour and a half, and we go through more candy than you all can possibly imagine. So thank you very much to everybody who participated and made that successful and safe.
Thank you very much. I wish I could have participated this year, but overcome by events. But next year. Next year.
Thank you for all your years that you have done that with us. I think I think we've done it at least 3 years.
Yeah,
now.
we have.
So
it's very good, and it's a great job. I mean, the kids really enjoy it. The parents too.
It's nice. You can take pictures still. It's light and everything.
Exactly.
So.
And then they can go to the high school after that.
Even the parents were trick or treating.
They got to have energy to keep up with all those kids. A little Snickers bar or something. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for all you do. Mr. Stockwell, city update.
Well, Mayor, members of council, a couple of interesting things that have come up since we last met. I was wondering, could I get your autograph on this, Dave? That's kind of nice. Is it? Yeah, it was interesting to see the result of, firsthand, the result of the neglect that's gone on in the trailer village. You know, to see how quickly that house went up, and how if the wind had been blowing in a different direction at the same speed, we would have lost more than that house. And so it's critical that we keep after that and get on that as quickly as we can. Driving through there is certainly a discouraging thing as we see all of the derelict properties that have been left there over the years. I was wondering, Eric, did you collect $7 a square foot from that grow when you busted them? The tax we get, yeah. Okay. Oh wow, that's a lot less money then, so can't get that. I thought I'd be able to report to you that we've collected our first cannabis tax, but I just checked with the clerk who did the calculation. She hasn't got it ready yet, but we've gone up and met with the owners of the big flower and done the measurements, and they've gone through an inventory of their things. We'll be assessing that tax later this week, and so it will be the first cannabis taxes that we will have collected. We also, last week, had the opportunity to go up and congratulate one of our new businesses, Bud Technologies. They were the first cannabis business in the state of California to receive an annual license for distribution, or an annual license, and that is for their distribution arm here in Cal City at their operation at the airport. And so they had the distinction of being the first annual permit issued by the state, and we had the distinction of having that business in Cal City. And so we've gotten some good publicity on that throughout the state. And so we're seeing, as the weeks go by, more and more work in the buildings, getting them ready to be occupied. We should see, again, over the next several months, many more businesses opening up and beginning to actually operate in that growing industry for us. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you very much. The only thing I'll add is it's a very impressive operation that's going to be working there, and just high caliber folks that we have coming in to do these businesses in our community, and we're very grateful to have them all here. After AB 1234, council updates. Gentlemen, anyone?
I have nothing this week.
Nothing? Nothing? Okay, I'll have something the next meeting. Going from my last Kern Cog on this Thursday night, so I'll have something then. All right, we'll move on to civic and community organization announcements. Any civic, community, or organization announcements? And she probably has 17 different organizations she's speaking on too, right?
Kind of, sort of. Mayor, council, staff, community, Carlinda Batiste. I'm standing in the spot of the Lions Club. We have a booth at Holiday Village. We're selling our famous hot dogs. The Four C's is doing a potato bar. I don't know how many remember when we had Holiday Village in the garden and the Explorers did it. We're going to do it better. No, we're not going to do it better. But we're going to do it as well as they did. Yeah. And we have some exciting things going. Brenda already told you about Holiday Village. By now, all of you guys should have gotten something in your box. I need your bodies, even if it's one person in a car. We need the community to see our people out there. We have people that are coming in from other cities to be in our parade. We can't have folks come to our house and we're not there.
There you go.
So my goal is to have the outgoing and the incoming council people and mayor kind of team up, because Ford is giving us several vehicles. I don't know how many, so everybody can't be in a separate car, but I think passing on the baton, it shows a great community effort to have a councilman passing the baton to the council person that's coming in. Or you have to serve double duty because you got to be in two places at once because you're outgoing council, but you're incoming mayor.
Oh, we'll just have him in my car.
There we
we'll
go.
Be in our own.
There we go.
Yeah,
there we go.
pass
Pass the baton to itself there. And we've got we've sent letters out to everybody, the chamber, the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts. Unfortunately, because of the date, the Girl Scouts are going to be in another parade. And I'm going to talk to Brenda about next year changing our date because we are conflicting with 3 other cities for the first weekend in December. And we have the power to change the date, that we have our holiday village. But it is a fun time. It's a festive time. It's a time where we cannot forget our families. Alta One is looking for families who are in need, and they are going to be supplying food. So if you know anybody, any family in need, if you don't know how to get to me, get it to Anna, and she'll get it to me. Send it by carrier pigeon. Send it to Brenda. Send it to anybody, and eventually it'll get to me so I can pass that list on. Or call Alta One directly, Carol. They're looking for families. I think that's about it. Oh. And I got 20 seconds to spare.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Karen Macedonio, and I am the face of the person making a birth announcement. I'm sure some of you have seen the yellow signs and had the baby's name, Operation Community. And Operation Community, like all births, there was some pain involved. But we decided as a group of volunteers, and the city supported us incredibly, that we wanted to clean up first, then we want to figure out how to keep it clean, then we want to beautify so that we are a town that's welcoming people. So we started, our goal was to back the Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber of Commerce and the community cleanup, and we were going to have cleanups for 4 weeks in October. We got 2 of them done, and in those 2 weeks, we got almost 60 tons of trash. We were very surprised at the amount that came in. And then the county decided that maybe they wanted to be part of the process. So we had a little bit of a conversation with the county, and they actually, with the help of our Board of Supervisor, Zach Shrivner, they came to town and they met with us, and they are very much on board and very excited about working with us for our next major cleanup, which is going to be in April of 2019. But what we've discovered is that we have a lot that we need to learn about utilizing our waste management contracts. We have a lot of people that may not be getting the quarterly newsletters. So waste management is going to bring us handouts that we can put in appropriate public places. And we're going to try and educate people on the 3 bulky waste pickups a year. And it turns out that 1 bulky waste pickup is the equivalent of 11 55-gallon trash bags. So that's a huge amount you can call and get rid of. And we had some sharps that we found out that Waste Management provides sharp pickup for $5 a time. I think the fire chief was going to do some checking with his medical director. We also learned that hazardous waste, that we get 1 a year, but Tehachapi gets 12, Ridgecrest gets 6, and Mojave's open all the time. So we are opening a conversation about why do we only get 1. So we've got lots to go to, lots of growing, lots of learning, and we're looking forward to watching the baby grow. So thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad you cleared up. There is some information that needs to be cleared up too. It wasn't that Waste Management or the city didn't know what they were doing. Because I've heard that. I've heard that the city didn't know what they were doing and they didn't coordinate properly, and Waste Management knew, and there was a lot of really bad information out there, and we need to clear that up because that's not how we do business.
And I do have a recording of the meeting with the county, and I am in the process of making notes out of that. But we came in with the county wondering because they had heard some of the rumors, but we were so prepared, and Alexia did an incredible job of talking about how prepared we were, how we'd work with the city. We had Craig in the room where he talked about what the city did, what Public Works did. We surprised them with our professionalism and our ability and what we were doing. And the bottom line was they said, we want to be part of this with you. We want the county clean and we want the cities clean, and we'll help you design the plan that works for everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate that because, you know, it's hard for me to believe that they don't know we're doing this because we've been doing this for years. And we've always done it the right way, unless they've come up with some new procedures that they've failed to tell us about.
I will speak from my own personal opinion on this, and that's that there is a very large bureaucracy out there of handling waste, and it's from the state into the county.
Oh, yeah.
And somehow we had somebody sitting on a desk at 10 o'clock on a Friday morning that made a call without talking to us to find out what was happening, and made their decision that we were being recalcitrant children. And so we've worked through that, and I think we've got a great relationship going, and there's a lot to learn. It's amazing. I had no idea that we were not getting the services that other communities were getting. But now we're going to be talking to the politicians, and we're going to make this better for all of us and do a better job so that we can have a clean community.
Well, I wish they would have been here for the first one because that was a professional setup. It really looked great. And everybody was doing their thing that they're supposed to do.
It was great, and Alexia was prepared when they were talking to talk about how we learned and how we grew in it and how we started out with locations with 1 bin and then we put 2, and then we brought it down to 2 locations with 4 bins, and they didn't have any criticism of us at all. They were just, we've got to worry about state laws and how do we do this, and they're saying they'll help design. So we're going to end up with Waste Management really, really cooperating, which reminds me one more announcement. Waste Management advises us that if you are a residential customer and you go to the yard, even with a trailer, they will let you in and they will take what you've got.
Right. That's great. Yeah. Thank you very much. That took a long time to get that done, too. But we got it done now. Any more civic community organization announcements? Anyone? Anyone? All right. We're moving on to public business from the floor. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the City Council on any item not on this agenda, but over which we have jurisdiction as the City Council. Please state your name for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, incoming and outgoing. My name is Al Hudson, and I have a couple of things here of concern. There's been a lot of complaints and chatter about the department heads being a bottleneck in the cannabis industry and slowing it down and taking their time and causing problems. A department head should not have that authority, and the investor growers should be given guidance. The guidance that they should be given is a manual, a written manual with a checklist that they should follow. And the city, I think, is remiss in not developing those guidelines. There's a few other cities that have those guidelines, and I think that we should follow suit on that. And by having the guidelines, the city council could be the oversight on the departments when there's an issue and get it resolved so we can go forward because we need the tax revenue. The next issue that I have is the $63 million promise that was made by this council to the public of no outdoor cultivation. That's right, $63 million. That's $7,900. It's for 6 years. We're not getting any power sources, water or sewer, for the developers. So we need to develop outdoor cultivation. The outdoor cultivation, to conceptualize it, the area needed is a 27,000 acres. The city has about 6 billion square foot in area. Again, to conceptualize, it's 27 acres. 27 acres is the equivalent size of the lake. And that would, by allowing outdoor cultivation with that area, that would allow the generation of the $8 million that's needed to support the police and fire.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson. Your time has expired.
Oh, I have one question. Why hasn't the Public Works Director provided the City Council with the annual audit reports from the DRW?
Okay, thank you.
Because the city should be reducing public water rates, not increasing them.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson. Appreciate your comments.
Wants a copy of the reports, I have them.
Okay, any more public business from the floor? Wow, okay, going on. Moving on to the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine and non-controversial and will be approved with one motion if no member of the council, staff, or public wishes to comment or ask questions. Public comments will again be limited to 3 minutes, and there's a roll call vote after this. Going to the public, tonight we have CC1, which is the approved check registers dated through November 8th, 2018. CC2 is adopting of a resolution 11-18-2761 of the City Council of the City of California City approving the accumulation program for part-time and limited service employees of the City of California City, also known as the Apple Plan. CC3, adopt a resolution 11-18-2762 of the City Council of the City of California City supporting the reauthorization of and full funding for the Land and Water Conservation Fund. Consent calendar item number 4 is adopting the resolution 11-18-2763 of the City Council of the City of California City authorizing investment of monies in the Local Agency Investment Fund, also known as LAIF, and repealing Resolution 02-14-2532. And also, continuing, adopting the resolution number 11-18, wait a minute, nope, forgive that, CC5, 2107, apologies, OES Grant Award Indemnification Agreement, CC6, a staffing document, fiscal year 18-19, period ending November 7th. It's actually 2018, not 2108. And CC7, recommendation to deny a claim for Ricardo S. Chavez. Anyone from the public have any questions about items on the consent calendar, items 1 through 7?
Yes, Al Hudson again. Check number 103908.
Oh.
That's to Kavanaugh. That's for $4,750.
Okay.
What that check is for a water audit. This audit report right here that we haven't heard a thing from Public Works about. And it discusses the water losses in that report.
Okay. And your question specific to
And
that
my
check?
And my question is, why isn't Public Works providing the council with the results, and the public, the results of this audit?
Okay. Before we answer that, are there any other questions about checks?
Yes, I do have another one. CC6.
Okay.
Most cities are under a civil service type of job descriptions and such, and those descriptions are usually posted at public libraries and their city halls and such, and they outline the requirements and the steps within a particular a job description. And I'd like to see or ask why we don't have something very, very similar or identical in the city ordinance describing the job, every job here, and the steps within that, and the qualifications and salary range. It makes sense.
Okay. Any more checks?
That's it right there.
Okay. That's not a bad idea in the job description, but I wouldn't put it in an ordinance because there's too many changes to it. Perhaps that'd be something you could put in the HR page for all the job descriptions that we have with the city and the ranges. It's not real difficult. It just takes time to load all those because there's quite a few. The binder for them is like this if you were to print it out. So that's a good idea. Maybe we can look into that. And then in the case of the audit, I can't tell you. I don't know if that's a payment, a progress payment, or the final payment. Can you tell me that, Mr. Platt?
We did report, not on this last round, but last year that started in 2017, which was another new rule that the state implemented on all water agencies, that they do a water loss audit on their systems. AWWA actually stepped in and actually put the whole program together. In 2016, 2017, we attended classes around the county for that process. The audit was certified last year by AWWA, which took almost a year for the state to actually respond back, and we just received that within the last 2 months. And so I think I reported when we got the approval. This audit, it's by October of every year. We had just submitted that, and the AWWA no longer certifies, so it had to be a third party, not of your own self, that actually approves that had to go through a certification class. Next year, we've already made those contacts to do that, but it cannot be somebody within the department to do certifications from within the department, so it has to be somebody outside of the department. So that's in the works, and yeah, there are very few agencies that have that. Mojave has one, but it's for their internal purposes, same thing. What we'll be doing is certifying our own. So we're waiting on the verification letter. It's basically just to quantify our system, the integrity of the system, and what the water loss are based on all those factors. So it's a very comprehensive report, and it's the state's mechanism to actually monitor how we're monitoring and taking care of the discrepancies in, obviously, a loss of water.
Thank you very much.
According to that report, in 2017, there was a loss of $838,502, and for 16, the loss was $846,966. That the residential property or ratepayers are the only ones that are paying for that water loss, and so that should be shared with the commercials and reduce the residents' water bills. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the public have anything on consent calendars item 1 through 7? Seeing none, I'll move up here. Gentlemen, do you have any questions about consent calendar items 1 through 7?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So, CC4, I don't see how this council can repeal a resolution that we haven't even seen, 2-14-2532, was not added to our agenda, so I have no idea what that resolution is.
Anything else in the meantime while she's getting that? Because it's a very straightforward document. Yes, sir?
I have a bunch.
Okay.
Going back to the one item, Mr. Platt, that you talked about, I would like to, if possible, receive a copy of that report, and if you could make that report available for the public on the city's website. And if you could do that as soon as possible, it'd be good.
Not a problem.
A couple other things. I looked at the checks to TDS telephones, and it's over $1,000. What is the reason for that?
Yeah, you're not the only one that asked that question. Three of us asked that question. But we don't really know. I would like to know if maybe you can tell us why we're paying so much for those particular bills. You got the numbers handy, do you not?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Why don't you read them off, because I'm not at that check.
Okay, on that check, which is 103880, there's one amount for $653.43, and there's another one for $384.33.
Very, very high.
And unless you're calling Kazakhstan or somewhere like that, I don't know.
No, you
why
can get a lower rate for that too. But anyway, so.
I honestly don't know. Let's go ahead and pull it, and I'll review it. I know we have the internet over there now, so it is phone and internet, but I still don't think it should be that high.
Well, unless anybody's charging something to the account, I can't imagine my bill or even a commercial bill being that high.
No, let's go ahead and pull it, and I'll take a look at it.
Okay, and if you could report back through Bob to us, that'd be great.
We will. Once we get it straightened out, we'll go ahead and submit it.
So the check numbers are?
Check numbers, they're all on check 103880.
So we'll pull that one then. Yeah, set that aside. And until we find out what we're going to do, don't mail it out. Pardon me? Oh, that's a pre-issued check. Lovely. So we still need to find out.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll have to work with the phone company if that's an issue. And everybody's got that. You got a note, he's got a note, she's got a note.
We all got notes.
We all got notes. Okay, next one, sir.
Next one is 103889 for Eddie Green Beach Construction Deposit Refund. What is that?
That's just a refund for a construction deposit. It's pretty straightforward. We signed actually several of those. Once they have met their requirement to just.
Yeah, they put down a deposit for waste disposal. Once they finish the project, they get it back.
They have to show proof, obviously, that they disposed of the materials that they were supposed to clean up, and then that's when they get them. You'll see several of them in there.
Yeah, I saw a bunch. I saw 13. I'm sorry? Another one is 103907, and just a question for $36,666.24. How many people was that for? 2 people or more or what?
2 positions. Finance and accounting. That's 2 positions. That's the going rate.
And let's see. And another one, when we got the drones last year on the, for the the grant, part of the money was to train some drone operators, and now were they trained, or this 400, is it for someone else or what?
And that's check number 103949. Check number 103949.
Okay.
Yes, Chief, thank you.
So that one, the last course, myself and Sergeant Blanton went. I went to see what it's about so we can create policy and procedure for that. I don't have time to operate it, so that baton was passed off to one of our volunteers to take the course, so they're not dependent on the chief to run the device.
But this person works for a company, right?
Yes.
This is a company. This is an employee of a company. The company is billing us for that. It's check number 103949 for $400. Drone certification training.
No. 949.
Yes, sir.
And the question I had is just want to make sure that the certification they get, it's the FAA certification. You know, you have to have that since we're in Edwards' area and all of that.
Right. If you want to pull, I can look into it.
No, I just want to make sure I can take your word for it. You know, if you say that they got the certificate and so on.
This is a company, This is a company that's billing us for this.
Yeah, billing it
Billing us
for
for
training
providing
our
the
people.
training.
No, not training our people, training their people. They work for this company.
How about we pull let me clarify that.
Thank you.
What's the number?
That would be 103949.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass this out. My apologies for not including it. The previous time, this has to be updated, this resolution in regards to the changing of either city manager, finance director, so forth. The last time this was done in the year February of 14, the names Tom Will and Rudy Hernandez were named since they were employed in those positions at that time. So this is an update requirement for current personnel.
Thank you very much. Yes. Very good. Be on the record, city treasurer did this. I don't need, I got it.
I'm going to take one just because she did it.
Hello again.
Yes, ma'am.
We took another look at the Frontier bill. It looks like it's got the police station on there and the pool building, so it's not just
No, I know.
Tierra del
But
Sol.
Tierra del Sol has two on there that are really high. And they're outlandishly high.
Okay. Thank
Yeah, we know that that's the regular
All right, I was
bill,
afraid.
but those two are very, very high.
Okay.
Unless you're running some equipment that
Well,
requires
we did
data
have to buy a router, some kind of equipment for the internet. I
through
think
the phone
was-
company.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to know those. That looks really crazy.
And still a router, if you get a 1 gigabyte router, it's only like $250, so this is over $1,000.
Yeah, we'll check into it, see if it's a duplicate bill then.
Thank you very much. Okay, you have any more?
The thing is, no more checks. Just on this thing here, I mean, this is something simple, but I wish we could have gotten it, you know.
We have it now, and it's pretty straightforward. It's just changing names. If you want to not do it and kick it down to the next meeting, that's fine by me. It's up to you. Okay, anyone else have any questions about the consent calendar? All right. Hearing none, I'm looking for a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second that.
Are we going to pull that one check, though?
Yes, you
Yeah.
are going to pull, actually,
2 checks.
no, you're not
No.
pulling that one because that was a pre-issue.
Yeah.
Just 103949.
But we'd like
Okay.
to make the note that we're getting a report on the TDS bills on that pre-issue check. Put that in the,
Okay, report on TDS.
we're going to get a
Bills.
report back on that.
And then I'll make a motion that we approve the consent calendar with the understanding that there will be a report dealing with the TDS phone bill and check number 103949 is to be pulled.
There we go. That's a great motion. Somebody want to second that? Okay, Madam Clerk, could you roll call us, please?
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Paris?
Yes.
Stump?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gomez?
Yes.
Mayor Wood?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving into,
Madam Mayor, can I ask a quick question?
absolutely.
Either to the city manager or to Mr. Platt. Any progress on the phone systems for here, City Hall?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, actually, it was after a meeting that actually I asked Gene to sit in because he was in the building. We're waiting still on that quote from them, which actually would have a huge significance as far as our internet access that tie into the phones. Now, we'll use a wireless system that ties right into, if we go with the one that I'm kind of suggesting, leaning towards, is the Verizon system, because the speeds were actually off the chart. And the reliability is also going to be off the charts. They'd have to lose their tower for that system to go down. So we'll have to run some cabling no matter what phone system, because we'll do a voice over IP. So I'm trying to stay away from the tying into the landlines, which we would not have any landlines associated with the Verizon system. Which is a good thing, because that seems to be the problem, is the speed going out of the building versus the internet, no matter whether it's Charter or Frontier. So it's looking like that's the route we're going. So we're doing some final numbers and some speed tests. So hopefully we'll be bringing that within this month, this coming month.
If I may ask also, what process are you planning for in terms of, because the objective is to get people, when they call here, to get a response,
well,
or to be able to speak to someone. Have you guys thought about that?
That's going to fall in the city manager's wheelhouse, how we deal with a person that's in the room. The system can be actually modified because it's basically a cloud-based, no matter what we go to, voice over IP will be a cloud-based or network, so we can program a auto receptionist any way we want. That availability is there. Now, a live person, that's going to be between you and the city manager, how we put that together. No matter what, you're not ever going to have a person answer every single phone call, because if 3 or 4 calls come in at the same time, which does happen, you can't answer all 3 or 4 of those at the same time, unless you go, hello, hold, hello, please hold. So you can do that, but so we'll be looking at how we configure that system.
Well, responsiveness would be the term. That would be it. You can't answer every single call. No entity is able to do that. But as long as we're responsive to the public, I think that's the main objective.
Yeah, so how it's routed, it can be forwarded. So, I mean, you can put a lot of information of, if you're trying to get this person, then push this button, and it sends you to that person. And so, I mean, all that capability will be there. We have that somewhat now, but this will be a lot more advanced and a lot more efficient than our old system.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on, the public hearing. Public hearing number 1 is Community Development Block Grant CDBG funding for fiscal year 19 and 20. I'm declaring the public hearing open. Mr. Berrigan, can you come and speak with us?
So at this time, we're just going to ask the public for suggestions. The CDBG grant that we're going to apply for this year has a total of $80,252. So we're looking for ideas on what that money can be spent on. There are some restrictions. They either got to be in a certain area that's considered low income, or it has to be for certain eligible activities. And people can just maybe come up and give their ideas, and then if the council wants, or if they're not sure about an idea, then they can just ask me, or we'll do it that way if that works for you.
That's fine, but I wanted to ask you something. When you provided the maps, and there's a legend for the eligible and the uneligible sections of the city, there's a lot of uneligible. Most of it's uneligible.
Yeah, and for certain projects, the maps will be used. For other projects, they'll go off the eligibility list. So they use both things. They use their list, and they use the criteria of the maps for certain things. If you wanted to, like, let's say, upgrade water lines or something like that, obviously in the map where it's not eligible, that wouldn't qualify, but it might qualify in the low-income areas that are on the maps. But as far as yeah, so it just that's why if the council needs direction as far as if they think an idea will work or not, then I mean, you can ask me. Or
Appreciate that. Have you, up to before tonight, received any kind of input from anybody that knew about this item to maybe have some ideas that staff would have?
No, and just from reading the application, they kind of want it to come from the public.
No, I understand that.
So, I mean, yeah, and I think the Park and Recs Commission, they have some ideas. I mean, they obviously would like to see some stuff done in the parks, things like that.
Right.
That's probably the only input I've gotten or received before this.
Okay, and one other question that I have for you. In the past, if we didn't have a project immediately, or we had a project but we didn't have enough money, we can bank this money and pool it with the next fiscal year's money.
Yeah, last year we did that. We rolled it over.
Yeah.
And then that's how we got the ADA bathrooms over beside and stuff. I think we combined like 3 years or something. So the council does have the option too, if they don't like any ideas or they don't want to go forward this year with it, they could vote to just roll it over to the following year, and we'll just let the county know.
Thank you so much. All right, so at this time, council, does council have any questions?
I just got one. Can we use those to install like solar street lights throughout the city?
He's got a list. Yeah. And while he's looking, I mean, there's also needs for critical upgrades to parks that are decimated now in our community that are actually hazards. We have one in the Lakeview Mobile Home Park that's a hazard, and if that's not classified,
we can split the money. That's
that's really expensive. Anyway.
And I don't see that on my list, but that is something that if we wanted to do it in the area and the maps that qualify, we could probably present it and probably get approved. Okay. But it'd have to be in those areas in the map.
Yeah, take a look at the blue
areas. That's how we justify it.
It's disappointing. Let me just save you. I don't know. It's blue on my computer. It's purple, I think, on here. It's disappointing how few areas are covered. Anyone else from here have any questions? Madam Clerk, did you get any communications on this item?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to call this public testimony. Please come up if you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions. We want to hear them.
Carlinda Batiste again. As a Park and Rec Commissioner, Joe did give us a very detailed overview of that. And yes, our Central Park and even Balsitis Park could use some equipment, but as the mayor mentioned, and we all wholeheartedly agreed, we need to put some life into that old situation over there at Lakeview. We want to first wait until we tear out all of those old, decrepit buildings and get that place cleaned up. But I would like, if we set aside some of that money to do a Habitat for Humanities and get the public involved in helping restore that park. Right now, I don't want to say what it is, but we all know what it is. Mm-hmm. And it's going to happen if we don't do something about it soon.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and that's a good idea, possibly waiting until we get it cleaned up more and then use it as a revitalization with volunteers. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening, Mary Wadey speaking. In regards to this grant, when was the knowledge of this grant sent out to the public or the community?
I'm sorry?
Is this a community or public?
Community Development Block Grant. This is the public hearing for it right now.
Okay, so today is the first announcement of
today
this
is
grant.
Today's the public hearing.
Okay, I'm asking for ideas.
From
the public and the community?
It was noticed in the newspaper.
Yes.
Okay, what's the time limit? When does it have to be, the ideas have to be submitted to who?
Joe, can you tell me that?
The application has to be turned in by the 14th of December.
Okay.
But we kind of want the ideas today so the council can agree on something to move forward.
Right, because we have to triage the list and what have you.
Okay, so you want answers today?
Yes, ma'am.
Today is the initial announcement?
No, it was in the paper. This is your public hearing for that.
Which paper? This week's paper?
Mojave Desert News.
When?
Ask the clerk. She can get it for you at some point.
Okay, what date was that put out? Because
I
I'm
don't
sure
know off
other
the top of my
people
head.
in the community didn't know anything about it. So the time limit is by December 14th, and you're looking for an answer today.
We're looking for input today for the council to drill down on and prioritize them.
Okay, will this be available for the next city council meeting, like the 4th
Nope.
of the month?
No, ma'am. And that's not the next city council meeting anyway.
What
It's
is in
the
December?
29th.
It's 27th?
Or whatever the Tuesday is.
Okay, the fourth Tuesday, correct, of the month?
I only have 2 more, so it's hard to keep up.
Tuesday, 27th.
Except for workshops, yeah.
So the people only get one time to do this?
Right now is the
Man.
public hearing.
They get one time to do this. Okay. The maps that were issued, were they issued out to the public? Was it in the water
They
bill?
were.
I don't
It was
remember.
in the agenda package. It was in the agenda package online.
Agenda package
Mhm.
online.
Yeah, same one that we got.
Okay, I'm just asking because
Okay.
not everybody look at the computer. Not everybody picks up the paper. This is the first time y'all announcing it. You have until December 14th, and you're giving the people one time.
That's not it. That's not true.
Thank you.
This is the public hearing. This is the night for the public hearing. It's been posted in noticed in the newspaper. The agenda package was online with the maps, and we're all here. Yes, sir.
I think what Mary may have wanted an answer to is when was these funds first made available to the city? When was it posted from the state or whatever agency that's funding this?
It's annually. Annually, we get a chunk of money. It's federal money.
The time frame, when was the city aware that this money was available?
Every year we are about this time. What is it, Joe? Come on.
We know about it every year. We know it's coming up, and I know the deadline's around December. I've been working with the county for the last 3 months trying to get a number.
Mhm.
So you can't really post it and give notice if you don't know the amount.
There you go.
And then I even tried to post it at a time and give an approximate number, and the county didn't want me to do that.
No, they don't do that. It's federal money.
They don't say, okay, on October 15th, we would like a submittal or for ideas or whatever from the city to use this money. That's what I'm getting at. On
Okay,
these
I can't
specific
answer that for you.
Okay, because where I'm going with this is Mr. Berrigan promoted something like $400 and some thousand to clean up the trailer trashy area. And I'd like to know, can this money be used to partially fund that cleanup?
Actually, I can answer that for you. We had one bite at the apple on that, and we used something like around $90,000 that we had budgeted for the Lakeview Mobile Home Park, and we pulled out 4 project trailers for that. And when we went back to the county to see if we could qualify for that again, they won't let us do it again.
Okay.
One bite at the apple, and that's all we had at that time.
One bite, but you just can't say, well,
No, sir.
This tastes
Sorry.
pretty good here. Let's do it again.
Yeah, I was a part of that, so yeah, I can tell you,
Okay.
you're getting it right from. Yeah, bad apple. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the public? This is public time.
Well,
Please.
okay.
Please. The public. Any other comments? Any other ideas? Suggestions? All right. I'm looking for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion to close public hearing portion.
Second? Anyone? I'll second it.
I'll second.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Gomez seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, a favor? Did everybody get in favor?
Aye.
I said aye.
Opposed? Okay. Or just abstain from it. Council discussion. What would we like to do, council?
Yeah, Joe, on this thing, if we know that the announcement comes out like every October or I think that what Mary and Al were trying to say is if this is an annual thing and we know it comes out every October we can, you can come and have Craig make an announcement or something like that at one of the city council meetings and say, hey, everybody, we think we'll be getting this money coming up. Start thinking about ideas that you might have so that, we can, and we don't know what the rules will be this year, but based on last year, we might get this and just be, and we're not guaranteeing you that we'll get this money, but start thinking about ideas so that when we do have the public hearing, you know, there'll be lots of people with ideas, and they might say, you know, help you spend
Right, so-
the money.
Okay. So every year around October, November, we need to come up with ideas.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Joe, before you leave real quick, what is your deadline for the public now? Is it today? Do they have tomorrow or Friday to get it into?
No,
before-
you could push it to the following council meeting if you wanted to. The only issue with that is the last one I did was for the ADA Balsitis bathrooms, and it was just a lot of work. They wanted blueprints, they wanted plans, they wanted prices, they wanted quotes, and that it's labor intensive. So
Right.
I just don't want to cut it close. I want to make sure I give myself enough time, and I want to present a good application that has all the details, covers everything. So I just want a little more time. If the council wanted to wait to the following council meeting to make a decision on an idea they want to take forward, then you could do that.
So do you have an idea of what you're going to present to the county now?
No, we're going to decide that.
No,
Yeah, we decided based on the input. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, and the application specifically states that they would like the council to take ideas from the public and take one of those.
Right.
Joe, I concur with Councilman Stump. I think above doing what we're doing already, I think maybe 2 city council meetings in a row for next year, announce it during those meetings.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I was dealing with the council. I think it was since August,
Yeah.
and trying to get them so we could bring it forward sooner. Because last year, by the time I got the application from Tom, it was late in November, and I was like, we don't have enough time. So I think last year they just decided to roll it over because of the time constraints.
'Cause I
And
guarantee you're going to get a lot of people in here for people are notified
Okay.
with ideas.
And then I just didn't know how it worked as far as legally, as far as giving the notice and then giving amounts. It's just the county's so particular about everything they wanted. So I just wanted to follow the guidelines exactly. And I talked to the county about just announcing it, and they said, no, let me give you the amount. It seems like the amount's really important.
The
and they
amounts change based on
and
what's
then,
available.
Right. We thought we were going to get a lot more this year than we actually got. And it just, the county gave me the impression that the amount that you advertise is really important. So I didn't want to advertise without the amount, and then maybe it's considered invalid or something, the ideas or something. That's what was my only concern.
And that's another thing I'm glad you mentioned, which you mentioned just a moment ago, is that when we put something in, we got to basically staff a lot of that to put it in a good application package to make sure we have something that's a quality product. Because if you don't, and let's say you do get the money, you're still they keep kicking you off longer to get your money, and your project gets delayed. So thank you very much for that.
And one note, this was significantly less money than we've got over the last 2 cycles, because we did the trailer park with one which was almost a couple $100,000, and then we did Balsitis, which was another almost couple $100,000, and then we get this. So this was kind of a disappointment as far as how far we can spread this kind of money. Because we have to remember, it's still federal money, so we still have to follow all the prevailing and guidelines to use it.
Agreed. Thank you very much for that input. So, Council, what are your druthers about what we should do with this money? Should we put it towards a project this year, or bank it, perhaps, or maybe find out about the solar street lights? That was one of the things that were brought up. It's clear you don't really want to put a playground in when it's not complete, because when you're cleaning up that Lakeview Mobile Home Park and making it better looking and habitable, you don't want to throw new equipment in the middle of that, because but the stuff we have there has got to go. It's dangerous. Yeah. It's just dangerous, the stuff that's there.
What I would like to do, or like to see, would be maybe half for the street lights and bank the other half to help clean up, get things done.
Okay, actual street lights, I've installed those. They work very well, but they're not cheap. So half is going to get you a couple lights. And I'll have to re-verify that, because it's been 6 years since I've purchased those. And there is a company here in California that actually makes the solar street lights. That we've actually ordered the light that will go on the trail. So we've ordered lights from them on other projects.
Yeah, but that way we're not getting billed by Edison either. So.
Well, yeah, I'm not that I don't promote them. I actually highly do.
Yeah. I don't know if you have a requirement for a certain amount of lumens or anything, but I know where I live, I've contacted Edison, and I can pay like $30 a month, or I can get my own solar light that's bright and it's only $300. So I don't know what ones,
that stand up to the wind, so they're going to stand a lot taller than the ones you would put at your house. So they're going to be conventionally built just like a conventional street light, except
Understand.
it's solar. They have different lumens, so you can actually, depends on what you want to buy, and all of them are designed between certain hours. They'll run at 100%, then they drop to 70 or 80, and then try to maintain that. And I don't remember what the bottom set is, like 30 to 40% through the wee hours of the morning. Most of them have somewhere of a supposedly maintenance-free lifespan for anywhere from 5 to 7 years. Usually it's about 7, and then you're going to be replacing some pretty good high-dollar solar batteries. But they're nice. I mean, they work well, but they're going to look basically just like a normal standard street light.
Right. Thank you very much. You know, when we were in Long Beach, we had a lighting guy that didn't have the solar, but were there others that provided solar lighting that maybe we could contact? Okay. We took some stuff home from that, I think, because we can check and see what those prices are and maybe come back. And so it's, what I'm hearing so far is take half of this amount and put it for streetlights. Let me ask you this then. Would you want to bank this amount to possibly next year for that type of project and get more lighting? Just a thought. I'm just asking.
Well, all it was a suggestion, depends on what the other council members want to do.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I think we use all the money for streetlights if we can.
I agree.
If we can't get a lot with this year, would we want to bank that to get more lights for the next CDBG? Like bank it?
Well, it just seems like we're just not prepared well enough
Right.
to responsibly spend the money and have it go as far as we can possibly get it to go. You find out what the pricing is and then go from there.
Just as a note, and I know we're talking, I believe, the pocket park, but you got to also keep in mind that your equipment at Central Park is also out of compliance severely also. So just as a note.
No, it is, definitely. I do agree with you on that, but this stuff has to come out of the ground. This is just dangerous, really dangerous. So, okay. Council, what's your druthers on this?
Well, I just heard Mr. Platt state that Central Park lighting is out of compliance, correct?
No.
No, the equipment,
Playground.
The playground equipment.
Playground equipment, okay. Well, again, if our children are at risk, let's update City Park, because I know when I was with the Boy Scouts there, they were on them all the time, constantly. So if it's a liability factor, let's use the money and update them.
That's a good idea. The one thing I need to ask, though, Brenda, when you have done and looked at in the past what it costs to revamp and improve our equipment, could you give us a sense of how much that stuff usually costs? Because I know it's quite expensive. And I've seen the Parks and Recreation guides where you have it looks like a free entertainment park. Those are awesome, but I don't think $80,000 is going to get you that.
Not for Central Park.
No.
$80,000 would cover either getting a piece of equipment we have no equipment for 5 to 12-year-olds at Balsitis Park. We just have one little preschool piece at that park. And we have quotes for all 3 playgrounds. I believe Balsitis and the trailer park are both right around $55,000 for a new playground with surfacing. Central Park, because of its size and the matting that we have there, it will be at least $175,000 or so. And then since we've gotten our quotes, I've been told that the price of steel has gone up, so the playground companies have contacted me. And when we did our quotes, we did have sale pieces at the time that we had looked at, and then because of the special tax failing, we didn't pursue the project any longer. That kind of gives you at least a starting price.
Thank you very much. That is helpful. So we're looking at, okay, the $55,000 that you just mentioned, that could very well be higher than that at that point. A little bit, okay. So, I mean, in Balsitis, we've put the brand new restrooms there, And there are families that do play in those parks, and I don't know if we have the match to do the larger one in Central Park, but that's a thought, you know. We should maybe put that on a checklist of areas that we need to get done for future funding projects too. But that's up to the council, what you guys decide.
So, Mr. Stockwell, what's your feeling as far as matching the 80,000 for Central Park, or we've got to do something there because of the liability factor is going to come back and get us if we injure any of the children there?
Looking at about $95,000 or more. Just say 100,000 because it's gone up.
How much funds do we have banked right now, Joe?
80,000.
80,000 plus this 80,000?
No.
No. Or this is the banked amount?
That's all we have.
Okay. Well, we need to be sure where the funds can be spent. If they fit in Central Park or Balsitis, certainly they would at the trailer village. The first thing we need to do is remove the stuff at the trailer village, and we will take care of that shortly. Even though we don't have anything to replace it, we're better off to get it out of there.
Yeah.
The council will be considering the budget through the remainder of this fiscal year, and capital improvement projects will be a significant portion of that consideration. And so I think over the next 3 weeks, as we go through the budget hearings, we'll be bringing forward some of those very ideas. Brenda's already included funding in her requests for upgrades there. So if we could match, we could use this money to leverage even more wherever it could be spent. If we were to allocate it to playgrounds in general, to be used wherever the law allows us to, then during this coming calendar year, we could certainly get the application in and approved in time to actually make some of that construction. So my recommendation is that we would apply it to playground equipment in those areas eligible for community development block grant funding.
Yeah, I think we'd agree to that, right?
Looking at the map, Central Park is in an unqualified area, and Balsitis is. Looks like Balsitis Park is in the qualified area, but.
But Joe said that we can ask for, we can ask them for specific projects. So can we not?
Even parks may qualify because it's actually community benefit.
Yeah. Okay, even though it's really sad to see that most of our city doesn't qualify. But you had mentioned earlier that if we had something like a special project, we can go back and ask them if we could use those funds towards like the park that was been suggested.
Yeah, certain projects don't. It doesn't matter what area they're in.
Okay.
And then other projects are specific to the maps.
Okay, so we can maybe go back to them and ask Kern, the CDBG folks at Kern, if we can use that for the parks, for Central Park and any other.
I know Balsitis Park qualifies. We just did a project there. For Central Park, I'm not sure. I know it's not on the maps. So, but I could ask. I could give them the specific address and have them give me a yes or no.
Could you do that then for us? Yes, sir.
I went and did some research while we were here on my computer, and we can do street lights that have 2,500 lumens, and you can get the street light and the pole for about $250 each.
I don't know if that would withstand the winds because we.
Yeah. In any case, well, we'll have to decide as a council what you want to do. All right, so gentlemen, make your somebody come up with an idea.
Mr. Platt, so you're figuring about 20,000 a street light?
Yeah, they're not that. Those we could put in the parking lot, but they're not going to be allowed within the public right of way because they're still going to have to meet street specs. So they're a little bit different and a lot heavier, and they actually go a lot deeper. An actual street light, they go almost 8 feet in the ground. So
That's in 20,000 installed.
I will have to get you, and I can get that, and I will report back what the exact dollar amount is of an actual qualified street light. So parkway lights and things are different than street lights. I'm assuming we're talking the actual street lights that have the height.
Yeah.
Well, just illumination in the
A lot
streets.
more than what, and those are things like I would buy for the parking lot, and that's what we will be putting something similar in the parking lot, but they are not rated
Okay.
Let's go with parks.
Again, Madam Mayor, I think our children take precedence, and I'd like to see the 80,000 go towards equipment that will keep our children safe.
Give 'em a place
Thank
to
you,
play.
sir.
I'll second that if you're making that a motion.
Is that a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
But do
is
we
it
know
the
that-
equipment where?
Yeah.
Where did-
We
where
have
did
to
play-
find out first
If we can.
Central Park
For playground
qualifies.
equipment, okay.
Yeah, playground equipment.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, playgrounds is on the list as one of the projects that qualifies because a park is used by everybody. I'm sure it'll qualify, but I'll make sure before I submit the application and do all that if that's what
Okay,
you're going.
so then now we're just getting down to location. Now, Brenda brought up a point that they don't have playground equipment for certain ages available, 5 to 12 years old at Balsitis. We already know that we have to have some compliance issues with Central Park. So pick a park in your, because you can't go for both.
I agree. I
obviously.
think compliance issues take priority, though.
Okay.
Safety, absolutely.
So we'll go with Central Park. Okay. That was a modified motion. All right.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All right. There's money involved at some point during this, so I'm looking for a roll call vote.
Council, excuse me, Councilmember McGuire.
Yes.
Paris.
Yes.
Stump.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gomez.
Yes.
Mayor Wood.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Now, for the second public hearing, do you have to leave? Okay.
Okay, I will now recuse myself from this public hearing number 2 for my involvement as a landowner and business owner in the cannabis industry.
Thank you very much, sir. So we'll move into public hearing number 2, and this is the approval of a general plan amendment 18-05, GPA 18-05, and zone change 18-05, called ZC 1805, for 3 1-acre parcels, APNs 299-26108, same one 09, same one 10 in California City. This property is located south of Mindaboro Road and west of Nerelia in T32S. That's a track and range, is it? Range 37E, and a portion of northeast 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 of the northeast. Are you serious? Okay, of the northeast 1/4, northeast 1/4 of northeast 1/4 of northeast 1/4 of section 22, MDBM. The project qualifies for a categorical exemption per CEQA in order to rezone and amend the general plan from ORA, Open Space Residential Agricultural, ORA to M1 Light Industrial, and Research Zone to accommodate cannabis industries. Well, I'm sorry? No, that's okay. No, but it probably is a portion of a portion of a portion. Let's continue. Innovative Real Estate Investments applicant and MUSA WADUD, W-A-D-U-D, and Leland Corelli, property owners, represent Musa WADUD. Correct? Dud? Public Works, I'm going to declare the public hearing open, and we're going to turn this over to Public Works Director Platt.
Okay, before you is a project that went to the Planning Commission actually as a conversation item, then came back as a item with a project attached to it. It's right across the street from an existing project that is in construction right now on the corner of Nerelia and Mindaboro. It's on the undeveloped side of the intersection. There's a project and 2 parcels behind it, and what was originally asked is it would look a lot better if they brought all of the property owners right there, and all of those have come forward, and what they do is butt up to a commercial property that's already in that section up west, I should say south of Mindaboro. So there's parcels that will be coming after this that are in the works to go into the Planning Commission. The availability of this is appealing to applicants because there's power, there's sewer, and there's water all at this location. The property owner, one of those, he's here. The engineer of record is here in the audience if there's any questions. Staff and the Planning Commission recommend this actually move forward.
Thank you very much. Let's see here. Council questions?
Are there any residential or right by this property? And if so, how close?
There would be restrictions because there's a street that actually divides this, so they all line up to an undeveloped street, which would stay in place. So to that, those are large acre parcels. I don't believe there's actually a house. The original ranch house is clear down on the other end, and there's a couple on the Yerba side.
On the map that you provided in this, where it shows those 3 sites, and I'm just guessing here, Nerelia, north,
that
south.
property there's not a house on that property.
Okay. What about that next group over? What is that? What is that stuff that you see in the aerial picture?
To the east?
Across
Nerelia is residential.
No, I know that.
No,
That's no.
are you-
I'm talking to the
Are you
west.
talking?
Thank you. West or southwest?
You're
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's just a
Square right here?
Yes.
That one right there.
Yeah, there's
That
no
one right
houses there. That's actually an open.
Well, there's buildings there, so.
That's what we're asking.
Yeah, I think there was horses there at one
Okay.
time, but there's actually nobody
Thank you.
living there.
Got that answer. And then right across to the, what do you call that? The east, they have RM1, RM2, high density residential. Yeah.
Yeah, so they would have to
But
meet the setback as far as putting a block wall.
And I thought I
on
read something like that
residential
in
that
the-
on the residential side, so it has
thought
to
I read
be
something in that
under
in the
200
package.
feet, and that has a wide right of way, so it could be really close to that.
Right. Okay. And one of the questions that are you done with your
Yes.
questions? Okay. One of the questions that I had for the project too, on Nerelia, where is going to be the main ingress-egress point for business on this property?
So if you remember, the city has a project which the state kind of set on environmentally to redo the entire road section up to this intersection, so they're meeting the same conditions on their side of the road.
All right, but where is the ingress-egress?
Mindenboro.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Not yet.
I know.
One note is the development on the other side is actually paving it, and the contractor or the developer of this land have developed plans and actually are working with the contractor on that to put stubs across, because putting in a new section of road and then cutting it is not a good thing. So they're actually working on that in front of, to make sure that we're not going to cut to futurely serve properties on this side.
Okay, thank you. Council, any questions? Any additional questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So, looking at this on the block wall, figure 2 general plan, I think it's the 3rd page, it states at the very bottom, a 6-foot block wall will be constructed on the east property, on the east boundary of the lot, and an 8-foot chain link fence on the other 3 sides. It's my understanding that the block wall also has to be
8 foot.
not 6 foot. So if we could change that, and then if you go down to the bottom of that page, again, it says the east boundary line will also be secured with a 6-foot block wall. If we can change that to 8, I wouldn't have an issue.
Yeah, the city's general code has 6, and I think that's where that comes from, but any project would be approved would be 8 foot.
Let's just make sure that we have that in the notes.
And then one last thing, we've done this over and over again, as far as changing the M1 property, and the county never gets notified of it. I know Denise took care of Mr. Williams this week, which was very helpful, because we did his property, I believe, 6 months to a year ago, and it never changed to the M1 status. I think if the city would be proactive in all this work that the council does, make sure that the county is notified when we change it from M1, so that, and even with the Meister property in Canna Pharmaceuticals, same thing. We did that 2 years ago, and still they're not listed as M1 properties. So if there's anything we can do to make sure that when the council does all this work, that the county gets
Thank you very much. I think we also learned from somebody else that it takes a while for them to get their systems up to date, and whatever you're talking about, the change, thank you, Denise, for getting that taken care of. And Joe is not here for me to ask, but I see Bob writing a note down on that. So thank you. Anyone else, council-wise, on this?
I just, I know we have a process that we go through, and they go to the Planning Commission and all of that, but we need to, what is happening, what I see is, and I am definitely for the cannabis industry in our city, but what I see is those people who have property and are trying to develop it, when we start, it seems like we have not a really concise plan, and we're going here and here and here. If we were able to concentrate everything in a certain area, we'd have more synergy, and we'd be able to get electricity to everybody and water to everybody, and get the industry going a lot better than it's going now. So.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for council, from council? No? All right. Madam Clerk, did you have any report on communications on this item?
No, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to call for public testimony. Members of the public.
Well, just a quick question. That area over there, if I remember correctly from a while back, was zoned as 1 acre or more horse property. And are they going to be losing out, those people who bought that property? Dr. Barney is not here. Barney, he was the veterinarian here in town for years and years. He moved back to Kansas with Dorothy. But anyway, how does this affect those horse properties out there?
Not at all.
Why, if they're on the same road, has to be some effect.
I just heard there is no.
What?
This doesn't have an impact to the properties that are there as far as.
Are they going to
whether
pave
they
Mindenborough?
This way.
Actually, they are paving that
Yeah.
section of Mindenborough off of the intersection.
That will probably affect horse people.
Thank you, sir.
Jim Creighton, Planning Commission Chairman. First off, I'm not advocating that you deny this zone change. We passed it, and I suggested you go through with it. I just wanted to point out a few things. Councilman Paris pointed out the one thing that I was going to bring up about the 8-foot block wall. These were all identified at the commission meeting or the public hearing as well. Also not called out was barbed wire. In your package, it says the site is landlocked. It's not. Can't possibly be landlocked with two roads, with a road on two sides. A couple of the commissioners, myself included, brought up concerns on the categorical exemption per CEQA 15332. 15332 in CEQA refers to infill development. And there are 5 items in your package where infill development should be. If you look at item B, the last part of that, I don't agree with, in the fact that it's not substantially surrounded by urban uses. The only use is on the north side. So just something else to be brought for your attention. 2 items were brought up by Mr. Platt. One is the city attorney and the senior planner advised to go with the categorical exemption. Just so you know where that came from. We didn't select it. And another thing that Mr. Platt brought up, a biological study was done for this, but it was not put in our package, and I noticed it's not put in your package. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone know why those weren't? Well, we'll get
Eddie
to that.
Borno, California City. Good evening, Madam Mayor, a member of council. This project in this area actually is nothing happened. Those are, as Mr. Platt says, those are actually, they are not houses in that area. They're just some shack. It's nothing happening in that area. Regarding Mr. Stump, you said that synergy goes to the area. Our electricity comes from different direction. So it's when it comes there, when it comes down there, they got to be in different area because we don't have, Edison, they're not going to put the new line in there. So we have to use existing line that we have. So wherever we have, like this property does have utility and those things, I think this is a great area to be rezoned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And this area actually has power, is what we heard earlier, I believe. Correct?
Had all utilities.
All utilities.
Yeah, there's 3. They were going to subdivide, I believe it's 10 acres across the street. So they're feeding that 10-acre project. We didn't put it in the packet because when the applicant started the process, they had already done their biology report on the property. This is all lands that were previously cleared, and then we had the ruling, and so we're applying that to all the internal properties under 5 acres, so there's 5 acres and less.
Okay, thank you very much.
When you say across the street, are you saying east of Nerelia or north of Mindenboro?
It would be the north side of Mindenboro. Okay. And access is still off Mindenboro.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, again, Allison, is the city asking the property owners, what can we do to help expedite this and get you up and running? And could you, the developer, give the city an approximate startup date and the projected revenue so that we can do some forecasting on our in the finance department on our budgets?
Well, in this particular meeting, no, because this is a zone change.
Right, but it's for the underlying cannabis industry and cannabis development. So therefore, the property owners that is doing that should have a good idea of their potential revenue projections so that they could do their financials and they could furnish the city with with their projected financial data so that we could do our projected tax revenues.
I appreciate what you're having to say, but I think they want to know if they can have a zone change before they can go through with this other process. I do understand what you're saying, Al. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just saying I don't have that answer for you tonight.
Okay, I'm saying
that is something that we can ask.
Yes, let's go ahead and ask.
Not as a part of this, though. This is a different issue. This is a zone change only.
As part of these zone changes,
no, sir.
And as a general concept, the city needs to know what its projected tax revenue is from each developer.
That's fine, but not as a part of a zone change. Not as a part of that. It's a different, separate thing completely, okay? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor Wood, Council. I am DJ Tuhig. As you know, I've come before this council on a few occasions advocating for job creation and attraction of industry in California City, consistent with this zone change application, a general plan amendment. It does put the property owner in position to attract future industry to the subject property. I'll make comments why I support this, and then I'll also address some of the comments that were made tonight. The subject property is consistent with zoning to the north. Obviously, you've heard that there is an existing cannabis project of the scale of 10 acres to the north. That project is currently in development. One of the leading projects in the city. It's nearest sewer along Mindenboro, as you know. There's water there and should have power soon. We've met with some of the power folks out there at the site. There is, as you've also heard, an undeveloped street between Nerelia and the residences to the east, which is a significant part of the setback. I believe it's over 150 feet across Nerelia. We believe this is the heart of the cannabis zone. This is where the power is going to be, and therefore this is an appropriate zone change application. This is not hodgepodge planning. It is not an inconsistent plan. It is consistent with being in the proximity of the cannabis zoned areas. Also would love you to know in the comments about approving some of these zone changes, I would love you to know that the significant majority that have come through are on the arterial highways. And so you're actually seeing projects that are viable coming through, including this one. I'd also love you to know that having this potential for additional infrastructure, including what you've heard about paving streets, is to the advantage of California City. This additional infrastructure is part of attracting industry and attracting jobs. This is why we support this project. I'd also love you to know that we concur with the application of CEQA exemption, less than 5 acres, and we would love you to push this project forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I love the fact that you came up and told us. Thank you, Mr. Tuhig. Anyone else from the public have any comments about this? Any additional comments? All righty. Looking then to close, motion to close the public testimony.
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Council discussion. You brought up your points earlier. Did you have anything addition to bring to that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You? All right. Seeing none, I'll look for a motion to take the public testimony, hold on, our recommendation, and adopt resolution. I'm looking for a motion to adopt resolution. I'm going to read it again because we have to. Number 11-18, 2764, the City Council of the City of California City amending the general plan designation of 3 contiguous 1-acre parcels zoned ORA open space residential agriculture, located at the southwestern corner of Nerelia Road and Mendoboro Road, Section 22, Township 32, Range 37, APNs 229-261-08, same-09, same-10 to M1 Light Industrial and Research. And what we're going to adopt, that's one motion. That's the first one, because we have a second one. That's the give the reading, the other bolded thing on the next page. So in the case of this, I have to do them separately. Am I correct, sir?
I had a question to Mayor.
Okay. And by the way, tonight we have this is the new Christian for the night. His name is Mr. Richard Adams from Jones and Meyer. He's taking his place tonight. So.
Thank you. Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the council, members of the public. It would be appropriate to do them separately. However, if the council wanted to do them together, there wouldn't be a problem, as long as you also read the ordinance title.
So let's do that. Thank you, sir. Let's do that. And I'll say, and give first reading by title only with further reading waived. And I'm doing that now. Ordinance number 18770 of the City Council of the City of California City rezoning 3 contiguous 1-acre parcels zoned ORA, open space residential agriculture, located at the southwestern corner of, get this out of the way, that'll help, of Nerelia Road and Mendoboro Road, Section 22, Township 32, Range 37, APN 229-261-08, same-09, same-10 to M1 Light Industrial and Research. That's the motion I'm looking for.
I'll make that motion.
All right.
He had a question.
I had a question. Question is, have you seen the biota?
The initial one that was submitted, yes.
But you guys are recommending categorical exemption. Is that what was in the biota? Because nobody was given that. The Planning Commission wasn't given that. So
no. So when it's exempt, all the paperwork we do in house, we don't have to file it with the state. It's actually all kept in house. So under the 5 acres or less, and so all the previously lands that were cleared. Which this is in that group, we're filing as exempt projects.
Because as a body, it's 3 acres.
Yes, or
That's
1
why
acre.
you did that?
Well, it's 1 acre apiece. So it's,
no, I know,
each
but
one is separate, so they're all 1 acre. They're not merging these projects.
Okay.
Councilman Stump, it was my understanding also that all this land that's previously cleared, anything under 5 acres, we can do a category exemption.
Yeah, thank you. That's
So
what
trying
he
to
was
push
just saying.
projects through in a much more expedient way, we're taking that lead and doing these on any of the smaller parcels, the 1 acre parcels over on the south side of the city. We're following the same concept.
Okay. I would like to amend the motion, if I could,
Okay.
to include the items that you pointed out And any changes that are a part of this project? That was the 8-foot?
The 8-foot fencing.
Yeah, oh yeah, for the front.
And the barbed wire.
And the barbed wire.
Yeah, those would all be handled in their civils when they permit them for the project.
All right, very good. Just so we got it covered. Okay, we got a motion and a second.
We haven't had a second yet.
No second yet.
Oh,
I'll second it.
I thought he did second
I'll
it.
second
No, he had a question.
He did now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Paris,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Stump,
Yes.
Mayor Wood.
Yes, go forth and do great things, gentlemen.
Thank you, Council.
We'll wait for...
Quickly.
What?
Quickly.
Yeah, choppy. We'll wait for Mayor Pro Tem Gomez to return, and then we'll move into new business 1 and new business 2. Thank you, gentlemen.
Sorry you didn't get
And thank you for the comments, and thank you, Jim, for yours as well.
Here, I got it.
We'll give folks a second. Yeah, I'm telling you. I didn't drink out of this if you want more. Because I already got enough. Just hand it down there. I just pour it in here. Okay. If we can get some order back, we're all back up here. We're moving into new business 1, proposed police officer trainee position, Chief Hurtado.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
The police department continues to have a diminished pool of applicants for law enforcement positions. This drastic shortage of personnel required to maintain law and order is experienced by many other departments, agencies as well. This is a nationwide problem. California City Police Department has campaigned for lateral officers to come to the city with limited success. The department is proposing the hiring of police officer recruits. The hiring of recruits would entail adding a training level classification to the current personnel plan. A police officer recruit under this plan would work in a trainee position for the period of time that they'd be assigned to a post-certified police academy. The academy has an expected duration of about 6 months, and that's for full-time attendance. Upon successful completion of the academy, the officer would be sworn in and appointed to regular police officer status. As the last couple of years, myself and council have talked about some type of contracts. Right now we experience training our officers, and once they're trained, we seem to lose them to other agencies. So through the city attorney's office, we looked at a type of contract where any training these personnel received that the police department pays for, those hired under this program would give a 2-year commitment. Should that candidate choose to leave before the 2-year commitment, they'd be required to pay for training provided at a prorated basis. As I said earlier, this is a nationwide issue. California City needs to be prepared. I received correspondence today. There's a call for police chiefs throughout the nation to meet in Philadelphia to try to come up with ideas and ways to address this problem. It's not just a Kern County issue or state of California issue. To be frank, no one wants to be a police officer anymore. We don't go to work in lab coats and solve a crime in 30 minutes with commercial breaks. It's not like on TV. Things happen, and as evident this last week, bad things can happen. Mary helped with preparing the job description of police officer trainee to fulfill requirements for a job description, and staff's recommendation is to accept the description for police officer trainees.
Okay. Do you have a question?
When we had talked before, I'd mentioned it to here, several times, and if we could look at several universities around that have criminal justice programs, and and I'm not saying to get people that we can't use people with high school diplomas, but you yourself with a bachelor's and MBA, if you get higher educated officers, and you can get a lot of them at a lot of programs have criminal justice majors who can't find jobs. So, if we looked at in Bakersfield, at the Cal State Bakersfield or Northridge or other places like that. And then on here it said 2 years. I don't know if it's 2 years after completion, or does it, when they're in the academy, does that count for the 2 years? And then has legal looked at it and made sure that, because Christian kept on saying the whole time that, well, I don't know if we can legally make them pay us back or anything. And so I'm just trying to find out if all of the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed.
So for the first question on the recruiting from universities, there's been some different recruitment drives, including University, UC Bakersfield. The problem we have now is competition.
Okay.
The competition is getting fierce right now. There's heated discussions between chiefs of other chiefs stealing officers from other departments. There's reward incentives, sign-in bonuses, and now they're offering, actually it's been around for a while, recruitment rewards, where if you bring in an officer and they stay for X amount of time, you're able to recruit it, a lateral, then that officer that brings on that person receives some type of reward. And it's different incentives throughout the state, and it's just a matter of trying to compete. I spoke to other chiefs for the Bakersfield law enforcement job fair, and some other chiefs had spoke how they just can't compete with some of the heavy hitters that larger departments can offer. There wasn't that line of people trying to apply, and it's just getting very difficult to get some recruitments. On the 2-year commitment, that was just on the average. There are some that offer 3-year and 4-year contracts. And then the third question about what can be reimbursed back to the city. Only the portion that is required to do that position by post. So the basic academy with the tuition, the books, the ammunition, all that can be reimbursed, and that's still not a high dollar amount. I would estimate anywhere from maybe $10,000 to $15,000. But the salary that'd be invested in a trainee, that cannot be reimbursed. The overtime incurred, the backfill to fill that position until that trainee is able to actually go out, get thrown a set of keys. Not that we use keys anymore for cars, but in concept, you get thrown a set of keys or a key fob and get in the car and go on duty and fight crime. Just those people aren't there anymore.
No, I'm for it. We need 40 officers here, so.
Right now, with one thing I forgot to mention at my staff report earlier, when the tax was passed, Measure A, and we had the 19 officers plus the 2 grant positions, that would be 21. Ideally, when we're talking about the nationwide standard, we're in the 20s, low 30s for what we should be. So even if we're going with what was adopted and what we're at 3 years ago, we're at a third of that police force right now. We'll be 7 officers in a week.
What is Sheriff Youngblood doing? Because he's lost his ability to fund. And listening to Supervisor Scrivener just at the East Kern Economic Alliance meeting here that we had this past week, which I forgot to tell you about, maybe 1234, but it's my last one. There's going to be some real challenges financially in the county. And larger departments are normally in more affluent communities. And we don't even know what our budget looks like right now. So I don't know how many people you're talking about from this standpoint for this trainee program. And I guess the other question that I have, no matter if this is good or not, who's going to do this training? Because right now, as I understand it, you're working.
Yes.
And your sergeants are working.
Yes.
And that brings in who to train adequately these trainees. That's a tough thing.
Sure. So let me explain that. The state requires us to be state certified field training officers in order for the training for a new trainee to pass their state certification. We've had several that have expired. We just haven't had time to go to get recertified. Friday we got a call from Orange County that 2 seats had opened up. That's why we're not able to present Sergeant Hightower's award tonight, because he grabbed one of those seats, and that's where he's at tonight. And we were looking at least 3 to 4 months to find another seat to get that recertification, and we're looking up and down the state.
So who's qualified right now as FTOs?
So you have Canine Officer Holtz, Detective Boston, and Sergeant Hightower that will be certified by the end of the week. And then we're looking at about 3 to 4 weeks or 3 to 4 months before the others can find a seat to get recertified.
No, I get that. They're few and far between. With your call volume, even with the FTO situation, getting certified for this, how are you going to manage this program? How are we going to do it? And we don't even, like I say, have a budget yet. We don't know how many people you're talking about feeling into this, pouring into this program, even if, I know this is a job description, but these are valid questions to ask in considering this. In some cases, maybe we should wait until we see what our budget is like to see what you can file in as far as these folks are concerned.
Mayor, I think one of the things that isn't apparent on the surface of this is all that we lack is this job description. These positions are already in the budget. They're just budgeted as full certified officers. And what we're recognizing is that we're not going to be able to fill all of those vacancies with those officers. And so we will have 2 options going forward. One is that we will be able to hire officers on laterals who will need to go through some field training. The bulk of our employees going forward are going to be hired as trainees because that's all the market's going to produce for us. And so this is not authorizing additional peace officer positions. It's simply recognizing that we aren't going to be able to hire them as full-time officers to begin with.
No, I appreciate what you're saying, sir, but we don't even have a budget. We have no idea what the budget is. We haven't seen a budget. We don't have it on paper. We don't have any information to move forward with something like this. That's the thing.
So one of the things that, a point I like to make, even if, and I highly suggest council take a close look at this and passing this. This passes today. By the time we go out and recruit trainees, do the background, find an academy, send them to academy, these recruits are not going to do the city really any good as far as enforcement. They're not going to see the street for another 1.5 years. We're in the bind now. And like Mr. Stockwell said, these are for the existing positions. In the next 4 to 6 weeks, the city will reach a critical state of where we are trying to keep an officer on duty 24 hours a day.
I get that. I do get that. I get that. That's not the question.
Well, we don't have a budget, but we know we have to hire people, and we have to get moving on it.
And the $50,000 replacement cost that you mentioned here is a fiscal impact. How is that derived?
That is the cost for the tuition, the ammunition, supplies, uniforms, the
But you'll still have
salary.
to get that stuff for these people.
Right. The $50,000 is how much it costs to replace somebody right
We
now.
understand that.
And
But
that's
you're not saving that by the trainees. You still are going to provide the equipment, the training, and all this other stuff. You're still going to provide that.
Yeah, but a trainee, I am wasting 6 months of a person's salary because they're no good to me because they're in a classroom.
Mhm.
But that's because I cannot get somebody to walk in the door right now and take that spot. So I am wasting money right now trying to hire people that are working non-law enforcement jobs right now. I'm going to try to create police officers out of them. It'd be nicer if there was a way to recruit laterals, but we just are not that at that point.
Okay. That's all I'm asking is how you're going to do this, where you're going to get these folks, and if they're not police officer people wanting to enter this field anyway, what are you going to, if you can't get them now, if you open up a training program, really what's the expectation of people really wanting to be police officers if nationwide it's a problem, even with this job position?
Well, I think it will come down to salary benefits, and then maybe someplace we probably shouldn't go to tonight. I mean, we should, but we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Be a negotiated item.
No, I understand that, but it has to be a negotiated item. I understand that, but I don't know what the figures are right now. So, but thank you. And you have questions?
We have to do something, and I think, Chief, this is a good initiative on moving forward. As Mayor Pro Tem said, it takes time, and you've said it takes time. So we need to move on this. We need to get right now. I know people who they can't stop working in their current jobs to get a current police academy certification. So this will give them, because they can stop working and they can go and make a small amount of money, but they can go and get their police academy done, something that they want to do, and then they'll come here. So I think it's a move in the right direction. And again, we should do the background investigation on them before they go, make sure that
Absolutely.
they're a good person, and send them and get as many as we can. I think the Measure C gives us authorization for, I think, 21 officers. So if we have Measure C, we can make up that difference, and I think we should proceed with this.
Over the last 3 years, and I was just checking, December 2015 was the last time we were fully staffed. And we've been trying to recruit and steal officers from other departments. And we're at that point where, okay, we've tried to recruit at our current salary and benefits. They're not coming in. They're not breaking down the door to come here.
Well, not just here, Mike. I think I mentioned this before. My cousin's a detective at LAPD, and they're having a heck of a time as well.
Yeah, it's getting very fierce, very competitive to try to recruit anybody that can pass a background, pass an academy, and wants to get in this field.
Thank you, sir. You had some questions?
Yeah, just so the trainee, if I understand what you said, and I want to make sure I'm right, the police officer trainee will be taking one of the slots of the open police officer, correct?
That's correct.
So we're looking at 7. Now, when does their commitment start for their 2-year commitment? Is that after their training?
I would say at the completion of their academy. So once they're sworn in as an officer, I would say that should be the start
when it starts. Okay, because I was looking at the Manning document, and I'm assuming that is also, we're going to be, because there's nothing in the Manning document dealing with cadets, police cadets. So I'm assuming those positions went bye-bye.
So the cadets or the station cadets, I believe they're still in there. I think there's still 2.
Well, there's nothing in the Manning document. That's what I'm looking at right now, what we just approved.
Because there were two cadet positions.
Yeah, there was 2 part-time station cadet positions that were set up.
Okay. Okay, I see that. And it's after the correctional officer and jailer. When you said towards the back of the document, I'm going, let me go all the way back. Okay. And a side note that has nothing to do with police officer, where are we looking at dispatch? It's because I just saw that.
We have 3 going through backgrounds right now.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to open up the public because the public hasn't had an opportunity to speak on this matter. So I'm opening up for the public. And this is Al Hudson.
Yeah, Al Hudson. Because the recruitment and stealing of officers is a state and national problem. I think that it should be addressed starting at the state level and get our Assemblyman Lackey involved in this. And what I'm going to suggest, or that Assemblyman Lackey be talked to about, is something similar to what telephone companies and wireless TV companies do, and that is buy out the balance of the contract. You have have a law passed at the state level that would make it mandatory that any department that recruits from another department, that the recruiting department reimburse or the full total amount.
I like that. It would be the same like if you're changing phones. How one phone company will change out the other one. It will buy you out. Same principle.
They're offering that now.
Okay.
They'll buy out your contract with the city.
And they buy it out completely, lock, stock, and barrel, whatever time commitment that was made at the time of the initial recruitment, and the related expenses. And I think that Lackey would buy into that lock, stock, and barrel and get it passed statewide, and then at the National Police Chiefs Association, they could adopt something very, very similar on a national basis. And that's my comment.
Thank you very much, and we're going to take a note on that. That's a good idea.
Well, I think you need to recognize that this is the same legislature who adopted a single piece of legislation that drove away thousands of police officer candidates by essentially saying, you got to shoot at me before I can shoot at you.
Exactly. And all those assembly bills.
The same group who imposed that on us is not going to find a solution by telling somebody they have to buy out contracts.
Very true.
They don't get it.
That's a good point.
Well, the worst that can happen is they say no.
Well, that's true.
And defeated.
Yeah.
Never.
That's a political issue more than anything else.
Jim Creighton, just a real quick question. You're suggesting that if a police officer leaves before the 2-year contract is up, you're going to prorate what he has to pay back. What if the person you send to the academy fails?
Yeah,
they would not be responsible.
Yeah, but we'll be out the money.
That's an investment up front.
Yeah, we'll have an investment up front. I see what you're saying. We will have made an investment up front, and there'll be no wave to return if that individual fails. That's kind of risky,
But
too.
uniforms, books, everything else has already been paid for.
Yeah, we'll have to absorb that. That's what will happen. Yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, Council, our city passed a special public safety tax. We expect the funds are going to be spent on something immediate. Councilman McGuire, you specifically stated, and I appreciated what you said, that no longer we're going to kick the can down the road any longer in regards to getting our public safety folks increased pay. As I look down at the wage schedule, the only concern I have here is it starts at $17.11 and goes up to $21.85. If we want to attract someone, they need to, and as Mr. Stockwell has stated, man, it's almost incredible. And even for training, and I appreciate what Mr. Creighton is saying, Commissioner Creighton is saying, but even for training, we want to attract someone. When we're asking our police officers not to fire upon someone until they're fired upon, that's almost crazy that somebody would put on a badge. They've got to really love a community. Our chief has been here for nearly 3 decades serving this community. No question that he loves this community, but I would encourage you to consider the wage. I got 2 boys in law enforcement. Had a son who wanted to serve here. Served here as a police cadet. Had incredible respect for the training he received from Chief Furtado and from the officers. Many are gone now that were serving. Begged him not to come because of the crazy public safety tax that's going to dangle his job every so years. He lives in a community where he was paid an incredible wage while he was going through training because of the respect that they had for law enforcement officers. And of the folks that he went through his academy with, there were some 12 officers from his department, a larger city, much more affluent city. But of those 12 officers, 2 did fail the police academy. And the city took a hit for it. Mm-hmm. But, you know, the old John Wayne Green Beret put silver wings on my, 100 men will, but only 3 make the Green Beret. If everybody could become a police officer, then there wouldn't be much mystique to it. And we have to take that chance, have to take that risk, have to make, I would say, not a risk, but an investment in those that we're going to send. And I would encourage you not to kick this can down the road 1 second further, but to approve this, at least do something, attempt to do something, instead of putting our hands in the air saying we can't get police officers. What Mr. Stockwell said is so very true. We're asking men and women to serve in a state where basically they cannot fire until they're fired upon. That is absolutely crazy. And we ought to be thankful for every officer that we have that's willing to come in service here, and we need to pay them accordingly. In hand with this, whatever it takes, we need to have a retention bonus. We need to have pay needs to be increased immediately. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Yep, we do have some issues ahead of us, but before they instituted that last thing, they just release everybody. So it's crazy. Yeah. Anyone else from the public have any comments before we come back up here?
Eddie Bornard, California City. I agree with increasing whatever we have to do, get the police officer, but I'm not very happy with the service they give right now, even if you have 1 police officer. Madam Mayor, last week I called upon the police department because someone's parked on my property without permit, with the intention of blocking some other people's signs, and that was disturbing to me. And I called the dispatcher, and dispatcher wasn't courteous at all. And then he said the officer would call, and I talked to the officer, and I said, sir, this one is happening. He said, are you here? Did you see him? I said, yes, they are parked on my property. They did it in a few occasions. And officer, the way he talked, it looks like if I have time, I'm going to look at it. I said, I'm not asking for a favor. Please check it out. If they park illegally, either way you give them a ticket or tow the car away. They don't have permission from me. As a matter of fact, I called Mr. Stockwell, as well as I left a message for Chief Ortad. Unfortunately, I got the return call from city manager, not police chief. And I just don't like it. I think my money is wasted in this town. When I agree with the increase of the special tax, it cost me alone $98,000. Means every year I pay $98,000 more. And this is service I get? I mean, this is not right. This is something needs to be done. Oh, we have to obey because somebody knows somebody else, and so therefore we don't do anything with those things because they do illegal things in town. This is not right. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. I understand your concern. That's a lot of money to pay for. Maybe we'll do something. Maybe.
Madam Mayor, it's my understanding the officer did show up and remove that man from your property. A simple trespass, when you've got burglaries going on and you've got one officer responding, they will do it when they can get to it. And trespass is not a high priority with all the crime that's going on here. I don't need a comment from you, Mr. Borna. I'm just letting you know that the officer responded, the officer removed the person from your property.
They did move to another property.
Okay. Clearly, you know more about this than anybody else up here. So, no. I mean, I didn't.
I just got, when are we going to bring this back up to us?
Yeah, exactly. Oh. But you have to understand the concerns of others as well.
Yeah.
So,
Madam Mayor?
Sure.
So, with all due respect, I haven't had a chance to dive into this agenda item. I just want to remind you in the attraction of officers that there are areas and communities that have the community policing model. If there's some effort you can put into that as part of your vision plan to attract officers, it would be good to hear more about that and have the officers here in the community as well. And perhaps some incentive along those lines in the community policing. Thank you.
Very well stated. Yeah, community policing does have great benefits in just about every community that it's. If you can incorporate a model like that, if you have enough people to do that, it's very important that you consider it. We've talked about it in the 6 years I've been here. We've talked about it a lot.
I would love to have every officer live in town.
No, I'm not just talking about that. I'm just talking about the community policing model as it stands, not necessarily people living here.
But sometimes it's just the basics, having incentives or opportunities for officers to invest in their community, and that's what I think the city should go in the direction of.
Yes. Okay. Anyone else from the public? Thought you were coming up, Ariana. Never mind. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, moving up here. Gentlemen, more discussion?
My only one concern is that we don't have a budget. Is there any possible way we can kick that up a little bit? And I know everybody's busting a fanny to get it done. But if we don't have money, how?
I think what's confusing is this actually means we will spend less money than is currently budgeted for the authorized police officers now. This isn't going to spend any more money. We're not talking about authorizing any more officers. The vacancies that we fill using this position for those vacant positions
are on the books
will
now.
cost us less.
Okay.
How many people do you have interested in this position already?
I might have 2 or 3 internal that
That are already in your department?
Yeah, so
Nobody from outside?
no. I don't. I'd have to check with Mayor. I don't know if we have any.
Who?
Because we haven't.
Yeah, we haven't recruited. We don't have the position.
No, I get that. Well, yeah, but still, you have people that read this, they're interested in it, or they're not interested in it. That was the question.
Yeah, I know we've received several applications, and one of the requirements up till today is they had to have a post certification. Those that did not, I believe their applications may have been set aside at City Hall with HR. I don't know how many of those there are, because we've only processed and accepted those who are already certified.
They're 832 certified?
Of the full academy.
Yeah.
And there are 2 people that I referred to the city. One of them had a post from Virginia, and that's not good here. And then the other one, his was expired. So once they find out about this, I'm sure they'll reapply. I mean, this is, as the city manager said, this is just starting now, and it will cost us less money than what we have already budgeted for. And if we're using the amount of money that we have for Proposition C, there's no reason that we shouldn't do this. This is a win-win for us, win for the police department, and a win for our community.
Definitely. Yeah, if we're not able to attract officers from other departments, then we're going to have to grow from within and start from the bottom. If we can't start, there's other departments in the county that are attracting other officers and other deputies from other agencies that, yeah, they could be starting in a matter of a few weeks because they've already worked in the county. But we just don't have that luxury right now.
These folks still have every requirement that any police officer would have. They're still going to have to do a psychological background. We're going to pay for that. They're still going to have to do the physical. We're going to have to pay for that. They're still going to have to make sure that there's no sidestepping or anything else on physical requirements to grant somebody in. They're still going to have to. They're going to have the same thing that a regular police officer does. Correct? We're not going to waive anybody for physical or anything else to get them into this program. Are we correct?
That's not on here. I don't know where
Just
you get that
asking.
from. No.
I'm just asking because we got to make sure that we're getting people that can do the job, physically and psychologically. Okay. All right. Since we've been talking, anybody else have anything before I open it back up for the 2-minute? If they're interested in a second call.
Madam Mayor, Council, I'd just like to say I'm incredibly happy with our police service. I've had dealings, not run-ins, but dealings with most of the officers in our town. One rental was broken into 3 times, so I've had opportunity to have a number of different officers respond. The last time, they were at one break-in, so I had to wait before they could come when we thought somebody was in the house at that particular time. My own house, 2 opportunities of breaking in. Chief Furtado in his pajamas. About time they get replaced, I would say. I was
Hope it wasn't
at
a
church.
onesie.
They're very holy.
I don't want to. I'm trying to get that sight out of my mind. Sergeant Hayes, I was studying at church a number of years ago, and I hear this. I thought it was my military training instructor with the clip-clop of the feet. At night, there was a light on in my office, and all I could see were legs looking out the window, and he was checking the door, wondering who was at the church with the light on that late at night. And I nearly puddled myself, not knowing who was out there. I'm very thankful for our police officers in town. And as Mr. Borna talked about the trespass, I was in line for a break-in because they were at another house. And we need to stop the bleeding. Something needs to be done. If this is the best plan that's been put forward, and I'm very grateful that something is being done proactively. So please pass this tonight.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Coming back up here. Gentlemen?
Looking for a motion?
Sometimes you have to work with what you've got, and we have to get moving on bringing people in. Everybody knows this is a nationwide problem. When you go around showing videos of police officers, half the video of what they're doing to the guy, but you don't show the other part of what the guy was doing to the officer originally, people are going to be discouraged from coming into the field. So it's understandable. We have to do what we can to bring officers into our community.
I agree. This is off the topic a little bit, but even in Dallas, when you had all of the shootings that were occurring there, the sniper that was going out, they had an overwhelming, the police chief there did an outstanding job, and after that incident, many, many people came forward to become police officers. Many of them did not make it. So, I mean, it doesn't, you know, the love of the position is one thing, but being able to do the job is a completely different. So we're going to be faced with those same situations. With that said, Council, do you have a motion? Anyone have a motion?
I have a motion that we pass. The recommendation is that we accept the job description for officer trainee position and proceed with implementing that.
I'll second it.
Madam Clerk, roll call us because there will be money involved with this at some point.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Paris?
Yes.
Stump?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gomez?
Yes.
Mayor Wood?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone, let's move forward to new business too. Now, we're going to advertise that. Chief, you're going to advertise that widely. Am I correct? We're going to see that everywhere and in newspapers, correct? All right. We want everyone to have an opportunity. Now going into the budget workshop adoption, this is new business 2. Mr. Stockwell.
Well, to make this very brief, I'm recommending the council schedule budget workshops for 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. November 19th, 20th, 27th, 28th, and 29th, and a special meeting for adoption of the budget on December 6th, which would leave us sometime, that's a Thursday, December 6th. If we needed additional meetings, we could meet earlier in the week to do that.
Okay.
I don't have a code 3 pen. Can you give me the dates again?
It's in our
November
agenda
19th.
package.
Okay.
It's there.
20th,
Okay.
27th.
And I'll make this real quick too. I'm
8th
good
and
for all
9th.
those days.
I'll
I'm
be
good.
good. I'll be good for. Yeah, I know. I'm out to lunch. Never mind.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good for all those dates. I can confirm now. I put them on the calendar. Locked in.
Okay.
I'd like to know if the public would like to ask a question about this since we're here.
Oh, no.
And
look
it is
what
a
you
regular-
started.
Well, he doesn't disappoint.
Al Hudson, I don't know where we're going to pass a budget when we don't even have the monthly financials for a couple of months. I think that those things need to be in place before anything. And on the budget, after the monthlies are done, because you need the information from them, from the monthlies in order to do an annual budget. And the other question is, wait a minute, is this budget that's going to be proposed in the budget workshop, is that going to be the zero-based budget that was ordered by the council?
Well, actually, that ship set sail, sir, because when we had set it up to do the zero-based budgeting, 2 of our council members didn't want to participate.
Didn't what?
They thought it was they didn't want to participate. They said, the comment is, I remember it was, that's staff's job.
Oh, well,
It's not that we didn't want to do it.
Oh, well, when the council agrees and orders the city manager to do something, we the public expect it to be done.
Well,
Thank you.
Councilman Stump, would you like to tell them why you didn't want to participate in the zero-based budgeting that you recommended?
I had constituents who talked to me. I mean, we had asked the city to do zero-based budgeting. If one of the city manager's jobs is to present the council with a budget. Now, if the council does the budget, then we're doing the city manager's job. There's other things that we could do the city manager's job also. But part of his job is to present the council with a budget. And as we talked about zero-based budgeting, present us a budget using zero-based budgeting. And that was not being done. We were doing the budget for the city. And going to the budget workshops, we are doing the budget for the city also.
Well, that's exactly.
Be that as it may.
That's right. So the city manager should be following the direction that the city council gives him on presenting the council and the public with a zero-based budget. And that's what should be done, and that is what I'm asking, why isn't it? And is that going to be on the table for any of these workshops?
Probably not. It's what you're, if you're not interested in hearing it, I won't answer.
Okay, I'll listen a second.
Okay. When the budget was turned over to the departments, you got your finance, brand new finance guy, right? When we were not able to go through the zero-based budgeting and participate in that, because it wasn't just going to be us doing it, it was going to be the departments doing it. They were going to bring up the justifications, as I understood it. When we didn't go that way, we have to assume that that's what they're doing. I can't guarantee anything at this point, because it's not that he's not doing his job. We didn't do our job. As a council as a whole, we didn't do our job because we had agreed we were going to do it. And then at the 11th hour, we didn't have anybody, that we had some people that weren't interested in participating in that. Maybe I heard from constituents. I'm not sure. But I'm telling you that we're going to have a budget that's going to come to us. We're going to have to look at that budget. And you've already seen something that will have to be added at some point to that budget.
All right. Well, see, the reason I'm concerned about this is I've sat through a couple of those 3-day budgets, item by item budget. Expense block by expense block, and was able to comment on a mere 3 minutes on the entire budget, and that made absolutely no sense, and it was a waste of time.
I understand that.
Still screwed up.
I understand that, but that ship has set sail now because we've lost all that time. We have got to put a budget together.
Yeah.
We have authorized spending up to certain points based on prior year spending. We don't have an 18-19 budget, do we? Nope, we don't. We don't have one. We need one, and we're going to get one, and those are the dates that we're going to do it. So please come. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're not going to get your zero-based budgeting, I don't think. Sorry about that.
Mayor, could I clarify what we're talking about?
Please.
This will be simply the same type of budgeting that's been done in the past by this city. The council will receive a budget. We will then go through that budget in as much detail as the council chooses to on each of the departments, funds, all of those things. So you will have the budget document in front of you, and then that's where we will be able to answer questions about specific. The departments will prepare, in addition to the numbers, they'll prepare a narrative on what they want to do within their departments to be able to go forward during this period of time. So it's simply a return to the practice in the past. It's entirely possible that we can go through this more quickly. If so, we will need fewer sessions. If we need to, we have scheduled enough so that we would have opportunity to go into greater detail. But it will simply be the same type of budget. It will not have the budget boxes, but it will have, we will go through each department within each fund and decide as we go through what things are important. The council will then have an opportunity at each point to make changes, to eliminate, recommend, add to, and then when we finish at the end of November and before December 6th, we will put all of that in the form of a final budget to come back for the council to adopt.
Okay, will that reflect the 5-year plan that has also been recommended?
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet myself, sir.
Well, I can tell you it will not include a 5-year plan.
Okay, it's not going to include a 5-year plan at this time.
Just because we don't have time to do it.
It's a
We will be
compression.
back to budgeting next March for the coming year, and that's where I would plan to bring forward a 5-year plan and a 2-year budget for the council. So this will get us through the end of June, and it will allow us then to prepare in a more traditional sense to bring the budget to the council. And that's where we would be prepared to do 5-year projections and accomplish a lot of what we've all wanted to do, but had until July 31st, we didn't know whether we were going to be alive or not.
When will we get this budget from you so we can review it before the sessions start?
You'll have it as soon as I've got it available to me. It's coming together day by day. By the end of the week, certainly earlier if we can get it to you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And understand that we've also endured a lot of losses in personnel. You can't expect 5-star quality with 500 employees at the beck and call. We don't have that many employees. We never have. But you understand. We have new people in new boots in new seats. Okay. So, anyone else from the public? All right. Moving back up here, folks, what do you think about those dates? Mine are good.
Good for me.
Good for me. Good?
I don't know all the way yet, but I'll be good for some of them.
Yes, sir?
I'm good.
Okay. So that's, we don't really have to vote on it. It's just a discussion situation. So at least 4 out of 5 so far are definitely good. Hopefully we'll have more. So that's about it for that. Now the rest of the meeting, we have some more items on here to take care of. Unless y'all want to readdress new business too again. I'm moving on to the council agenda. This portion of the meeting is reserved for council members to present information, announcements, and items that have come to their attention. The Brown Act precludes council, staff, or public discussion. Short staff responses are appropriate. The council will take no formal action. A council member may request the city clerk to calendar an item for consideration at a future meeting or refer an item to staff. That is a great spelling of that. Yeah, you were tired. Okay, Councilmember McGuire, now Mayor-elect McGuire.
To all the city employees, the police, fire, public works, sanitation, wastewater management, whatever, they've done an incredible job. Everybody has for this city that works for this city, and we are very blessed to have them. So hopefully, once we get the budget done, we can get the negotiations going for the departments and for the unions and get that back on track where we need to be. For the cleanup, for everybody that helped with the cleanup, thank you so very much. It was kind of a letdown when we found out we had to stop. And let's see, in 2 weeks, well, for everybody else, have a happy Thanksgiving and be safe and keep an eye out for your neighbors if they happen to be leaving. I'm good.
Councilmember Paris.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to thank all the city personnel that has come forward and given me information as to issues they're having with the city. Thank you.
Councilmember Stump.
Same thing. I appreciate everybody coming and keeping us aware of what's going on in the city. Without you coming to us, and also growers here in the city also, without you telling us problems that you're having, we would never know. So again, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Gomez.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Okay, and I don't have anything other than, have a very good Thanksgiving. And at this time, then what we're going to do is move into closed session. Public comments. Members of the public are welcome to address the City Council only on those items on the closed session agenda. Each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak. Closed session item number 1, pursuant to Cal Government Code Section 54956.9 D2, potential litigation, 1 case. Anyone from the public? Any comments? Because I don't know what's about. I'll learn too. It's part of the agenda. So, anyone? All right, seeing none, then what we'll do, you can remain in the lobby or elsewhere, but we are just going to clear the council chambers and do our closed session in here, and then open the doors if we have anything to report. Okay? All right, thank you very much. If y'all could do so expeditiously, that would be great. Or expediently. Expedition. Well, that's like an expedition to get out of here.
Make sure everybody's mic's off. Make sure all the mics are off.
Okay, it shouldn't be too long. Okay.
I hope not.
Eduardo.